The sky above the alien queen's capital was a strange color, half gold, half gray, as if the world itself could not decide whether to shine or mourn. From her high platform in the center of the city, Queen Lysera looked down at the crowd below. Her citizens, creatures of every shape and color, were whispering nervously, their antennas trembling, wings folding in fear. She had ruled this world for decades with wisdom and care. Yet today, everything felt fragile. The enemy had come fast. A coalition of rival alien factions, long waiting for a chance to strike, now surrounded the capital. Their ships glinted ominously in the sky, casting long shadows over the city's towers. Inside the walls, soldiers scurried, unsure where to position themselves, while the Queen's advisors barked orders that seemed to confuse more than help. Lysera's eyes scanned the crowd. Among the anxious aliens, a few humans stood. Visitors from Earth, here for a cultural exchange, now found themselves in the middle of a war. They looked small, fragile, but curious. One human, in particular, caught her attention. He was not panicking. His brown eyes darted across the city, scanning everything. And he held a small, tablet-like device, scribbling notes and drawing shapes quickly. "Who is he?" one of her advisors asked. "Just a human," replied another. "They are observers. Weak. Fragile. Not warriors. Not useful in war." Lysera didn't answer. She watched him quietly. There was something about the human's calmness that made her pause. The battle outside began in earnest. Alien ships descended, firing energy beams that sent shockwaves across the city. Soldiers tried to counter, but the enemy moved with speed and precision that seemed almost impossible. The Queen could feel panic building not just among her people, but inside herself. She had faced crises before, but nothing like this. Her empire was at stake, and she had no clear way to stop the attackers. Then she noticed the human moving through the crowd, not running, not panicking, just moving, observing. His movements were deliberate. He stopped by a young alien soldier, pointing at the barricade and drawing quick lines in the air. The soldier frowned. "What is he doing?" he muttered. "Humans," one advisor said with a laugh. "They cannot help. They are too weak, too small, too inexperienced." Lysera felt a strange pull of curiosity. "Let him try," she said softly. Her voice surprised even herself. "If he sees something, let him show it." The human Alex, as his name was later revealed, stepped forward. Using his device, he drew diagrams, showing ways to rearrange defenses. He pointed out patterns in the enemy's approach, subtle weaknesses that no alien had noticed. He didn't shout or command. He simply presented ideas, clearly and calmly. The Queen's advisors bristled. "We don't have time for experiments. We are under attack," one snapped. Alex looked at them, unshaken. "It's not an experiment. It's observation. Small changes now can make the difference between victory and disaster." Lysera's antenna twitched. Something inside her stirred. She had always believed that wisdom could come from any source, not just strength or age. And this human, small, fragile, but keen-eyed, might have wisdom the battle needed. "Very well," she said. "We will follow his suggestion. But carefully. We cannot risk everything on humans." Alex nodded. There was no pride in his expression, only focus. He moved quickly, consulting with soldiers, marking positions, suggesting minor adjustments. Each small change began to stabilize the defense. Alien soldiers, initially skeptical, noticed the difference. Barricades were stronger. Energy shields, more efficient. Confusion slowly gave way to coordination. In the crowd, citizens began to whisper. "Look! Something is changing," one said. Maybe we can survive this. Lysera felt a strange sense of hope bloom in her chest. She had been prepared to fight and lose. She had been ready to see her empire fall. But now, with this human quietly guiding her people, she glimpsed a possibility she had never considered. That victory might still be within reach. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in fire and shadow, Lysera looked down at Alex one more time. He was still moving through the crowd. Calm, observant, determined. She did not know this human. She did not know if he could truly help. But she knew one thing clearly. She had never seen courage like this before. Not in her soldiers, not in her generals, not even in herself. And maybe, just maybe, that courage was enough to change everything. The city was tense. The alien soldiers rushed back and forth, their limbs moving in precise, nervous motions. Ships hovered above, their energy weapons glowing like angry stars. Queen Lysera watched from her platform, her antennae twitching in worry. The battle had reached a dangerous point. Any mistake could destroy everything. Amid the chaos, Alex, the human, was calm. He moved through the crowd, his small frame unnoticed by most. He carried his tablet, drawing quick sketches and marking weak points in the city's defenses. To him, the battle was like a puzzle. He studied the enemy's movements carefully, noticing patterns that no alien had spotted. He saw that the enemy ships were clustering too close in certain areas. Their energy beams, powerful but precise, created predictable gaps. If the Queen's forces could shift their positions just slightly, they could defend these gaps without firing more weapons. Alex approached one of the Queen's senior advisors. "Excuse me," he said, his voice steady. "If you move these energy shields here and here, you can block their main attack path. Then their own beams won't be as effective." The advisor stared. "You?" "I've studied your patterns," Alex replied. "You don't need more strength. You need strategy. Small changes make a big difference." Lysera, watching from above, felt a spark of hope. She motioned to her advisors to listen. "Let him speak," she commanded. "We have little time. If his insight helps, we must try." Alex continued, showing diagrams on his tablet. He drew arrows to indicate where soldiers should reposition, and suggested using the city's natural barriers, the cliffs, and tall towers to create cover without energy shields. His ideas were simple, but clever. They required no extra weapons, no risky maneuvers, just smart thinking. At first, some soldiers resisted. "Humans are fragile," one muttered. "They don't know war." But Alex calmly explained each suggestion, demonstrating how the changes could reduce casualties and improve defense. Slowly, soldiers began to trust him, moving as he instructed. They were surprised to see the results immediately. Enemy ships struggled to find weak points. Their precise beams often hit empty space, wasting energy. Panic among the attackers began to grow. Queen Lysera's eyes widened. She had never imagined that a human so small, so physically weak, could influence the battle so directly. Yet the results were clear. Her empire was holding, even in the face of overwhelming odds. Meanwhile, Alex noticed another opportunity. The enemy ships had a pattern. They attacked in waves, pausing briefly before firing again. He quickly calculated that during this pause, the Queen's forces could create temporary barriers using energy pulses reflected off the towers. It was risky, but it required no direct combat. He shared the plan with a small group of engineers. They implemented it carefully. When the enemy's next wave arrived, the barriers absorbed most of the energy beams, protecting the city without anyone having to fight face to face. The Queen observed, astonished. She could see her citizens cheering quietly behind barricades, seeing that survival was possible. And the human, This observer, from another world, was the cause. Even the advisors began to change their tone. "Perhaps humans are not as weak as we thought," one murmured. "Their minds. They see what we cannot." Alex did not seek praise. He moved from group to group, quietly advising and coordinating, always observing, always thinking. His calm presence gave confidence to the citizens, who started helping in small ways, moving supplies, signaling safe routes, repairing damaged shields. By the end of the day, the tide of the battle had shifted slightly. The enemy attacks were less effective, and the Queen's forces were stronger, more organized. The once panicked city began to breathe. Lysera finally descended from her platform, moving closer to Alex. She regarded him with a mix of curiosity and respect. "You have done something remarkable today," she said. "Most warriors would charge blindly into battle. You used your mind. That is a power I have not seen in centuries." Alex smiled faintly. "I just looked at the situation clearly. Sometimes, small adjustments make the biggest difference." The Queen nodded. "Your kind may be fragile, but your mind, it is powerful. Perhaps we have underestimated humans all along." Alex did not reply. He continued moving through the crowd, quietly observing and helping wherever he could. And for the first time since the enemy arrived, the Queen felt a surge of hope that victory was possible, not through sheer force, but through intelligence, planning, and courage. As night fell over the city, the lights of the capital glowed softly. Ships still hovered above, but the fear in the citizens' eyes was less. Somewhere in the crowd, a small human had shown them that even when the world seemed lost, a clear mind and brave heart could make a difference. And Queen Lysera realized something important. Sometimes, strength came not from size, weapons, or power, but from thinking, observing, and acting with courage even if you were human. The city had settled into a tense rhythm. The sounds of battle still echoed from the skies above, but inside the walls, the citizens and soldiers were calmer. They moved with purpose now, guided by the quiet human who had turned their fear into action. Alex did not shout orders. He simply observed, suggested, and inspired. And slowly, others began to follow him. Queen Lysera watched from her high platform, her eyes never leaving him. She could see the way soldiers moved when he pointed, how engineers adjusted the energy shields, and how citizens organized supplies more efficiently. It was not strength or speed that changed the battle, it was the clarity of thought, the calm determination of one small human. Alex noticed small things that others missed. He pointed out when a barricade was weak, suggested moving energy panels to create better cover, and encouraged young aliens to stay calm and work together. Whenever someone hesitated, he spoke in a low, steady voice. "We can do this. One step at a time. Together, we can protect the city." His words, though simple, carried weight. Even the soldiers who had doubted him began to listen. Slowly, coordination replaced chaos. Where panic had spread, confidence now grew. Small victories appeared everywhere. A damaged energy panel repaired before it failed. A collapsed barricade rebuilt in minutes. Supplies delivered just in time to those who needed them most. Lysera felt her respect for the human growing. She had faced many crises in her reign, but she had never seen courage like this. He did not wield weapons, yet he was shaping the outcome of a battle. He did not scream orders, yet he was leading thousands. The Queen realized that bravery did not always roar. It could whisper, guide, and inspire. The enemy, meanwhile, seemed unaware of the human's influence. Their ships continued to attack with precision, yet their efforts were less effective. Their energy beams often hit empty streets, or were blocked by shields cleverly positioned by Alex and the Queen's engineers. Slowly, the attackers' confidence faltered. They expected chaos, but they faced careful planning instead. Alex paused for a moment, noticing a group of civilians trapped near a broken barricade. Without hesitation, he ran toward them, guiding them to safety. He held their hands when necessary, showing them the safest path. They looked at him with awe, whispering, "A human. He is helping us." The Queen observed this and felt a deep sense of admiration. Here was a species so small and fragile compared to hers, yet so brave, so resourceful. And unlike many warriors she had seen, Alex fought without anger or hatred. His motivation was not pride or victory, it was protection, hope, and clever thinking. As the night deepened, the city's lights reflected off the enemy ships above. The humans and aliens working together created a rhythm that seemed almost magical. Soldiers moved in precise patterns, citizens helped without fear, and engineers repaired critical systems faster than ever. Alex moved among them, offering suggestions, encouragement, and reassurance. His presence was a force of its own, one that inspired calm and confidence. At one point, Lysera descended from her platform to observe him more closely. She approached, quietly, not wanting to interrupt his work. "Your courage." Alex looked up, surprised to see the Queen standing nearby. "I'm just helping," he said simply. "I am not a warrior. I only see what can be done." "Yet you are changing the course of this battle," she replied. "You inspire more than just hope. You show others that fear can be faced, that courage is not about strength, but action." Alex nodded. "Sometimes, when people are calm and organized, even a small group can do amazing things. We just need to notice what matters." The Queen smiled faintly. She realized something she had never admitted before. Humans were underestimated because they were fragile, small, and weak. But their minds, their courage, and their ability to unite others, these were qualities that could surpass brute strength or advanced technology. As the night wore on, Alex noticed a pattern in the enemy's attacks. They had begun to rely on repetition, believing the Queen's forces would falter the same way again. He quickly communicated his observation to the Queen's engineers, who adjusted the city's defenses accordingly. When the next wave struck, the traps worked perfectly, slowing the attackers without harming anyone. Citizens began to cheer quietly behind their barricades. "Look! We can survive this," they whispered. "Thanks to the human. Thanks to the human." Queen Lysera stood tall, her heart swelling with pride not just for her city, but for the unexpected hero among them. A human, small and fragile, had shown them the power of intelligence, courage, and teamwork. And for the first time since the attack began, she truly believed that victory was possible, not through overwhelming force, but through careful thought and unity. Alex, unaware of the Queen's admiration, continued moving through the crowd. His mind worked quickly, always thinking, always observing, always helping. And as the city settled into a rhythm of hope and determination, Lysera realized a truth she would never forget. Sometimes the smallest among us have the greatest power to change the world. The first light of dawn crept over the horizon, casting pale gold across the city. The air was still thick with tension. Though the citizens had learned to move with purpose, the enemy fleet still hovered above, their energy beams glinting like sharp stars. Queen Lysera stood on her platform, scanning the battlefield. The human Alex was already at work, moving among the soldiers and engineers as if he belonged there. Alex had noticed a pattern over the night. The enemy ships, confident in their previous attacks, were predictable. They followed strict formations, overusing the same flight paths. Every time, their energy beams were concentrated in certain areas, leaving gaps elsewhere. It was a risk, but a chance for the Queen's forces to gain the advantage. He quickly gathered a small team of engineers and soldiers. "If we redirect energy through these panels and use the towers as reflectors," he said, pointing on his tablet, "we can block most of their beams and channel them harmlessly into empty space. The attackers will waste energy, and lose their rhythm. Some engineers hesitated. "It's dangerous," one said. "If we fail, the city could collapse." Alex shook his head. "No risk is too great if we act carefully. Timing and coordination are key. We can do this together." The Queen, watching from above, felt her confidence in him grow. She descended to the main platform, walking beside him. "I trust your judgment," she said quietly. "Guide my people, human. Lead them to safety." With her blessing, Alex and the team worked quickly. Energy panels were shifted, towers were reinforced, and small reflectors were positioned along critical paths. Citizens assisted where they could, carrying supplies, calming panicked families, and alerting soldiers to weak points. Slowly, the city became a single living organism, coordinated, calm, and focused, all guided by one human's insight. When the enemy's next wave arrived, Alex's plan unfolded perfectly. Energy beams struck the reflectors and were redirected harmlessly. Barricades held. Ships hesitated, their patterns disrupted. The attackers, used to chaos and fear among the Queen's forces, faced something entirely unexpected: order. Their precision was wasted, and their confidence faltered. The soldiers began to move with renewed energy. They repositioned according to Alex's instructions, creating strong defensive formations. Engineers reinforced weak points, as he suggested, and citizens continued supporting from the sidelines. Slowly, the tide of the battle began to shift. Queen Lysera watched, awestruck. She had faced countless wars in her lifetime, yet she had never seen strategy executed with such elegance and calm. The human, who should have been small and weak, had turned the enemy's power against them not with weapons, but with clever thinking and coordination. Even the advisors, who had doubted him from the start, began to acknowledge the truth. "Perhaps humans are not as fragile as we believed," one whispered. "Their minds, they see things we cannot." As the battle reached its climax, Alex noticed another opportunity. The enemy ships, frustrated by their failed attacks, were clustering near a central plaza. Expecting chaos, Alex quickly directed the Queen's forces to create temporary safe zones using energy barriers, funneling the attackers into harmless areas. The enemy ships found themselves trapped by their own expectations, unable to strike effectively. Lysera felt a surge of pride. This was more than defense. It was clever, non-violent victory. The human had inspired not just strategy, but creativity, teamwork, and courage. Every citizen, soldier, and engineer contributed, motivated by his calm example. When the final wave passed, the enemy ships retreated, their confidence broken. They had underestimated the unity and intelligence of the Queen's people, guided, in no small part, by a human they had considered fragile. The citizens erupted in quiet celebration, cheering for the safety of their city and for the one who had changed everything. Alex moved among them, helping wherever he could, but never seeking recognition. Lysera approached him, her expression solemn but warm. "You have taught us that courage does not always roar. Sometimes it whispers, guides, and inspires." Alex smiled faintly. "I just noticed what could be done. Everyone here made it happen. I only helped them see the path." The Queen nodded. She had realized something profound. Humans, small and fragile though they may be, possessed qualities that could shift the balance of entire battles. Their courage, intelligence, and ability to inspire unity were as powerful as any weapon. As the sun rose higher, casting light on a city that had survived the impossible, Lysera made a silent promise. Humans would never again be underestimated. And Alex, unaware of how much he had changed her world, continued quietly moving among the people, guiding them toward recovery and hope. In that moment, victory was not just survival, it was a lesson that strength came in many forms, and that sometimes, the smallest among them could turn the tide of history. The city was quiet now. The enemy ships had retreated beyond the horizon, their energy beams no longer threatening the towers and streets. Citizens emerged from their shelters, blinking in the morning light, relief washing over them. The battle was over, not through force or destruction, but through cleverness, coordination, and courage. Queen Lysera stood on her platform, surveying the city she had almost lost. Her heart was full of pride for her people, but her thoughts kept returning to the human who had changed everything. Alex moved through the crowd, quietly checking on barricades and helping families who were shaken by the night's events. Though small and fragile compared to her soldiers, he had turned despair into hope. The queen descended to meet him. The crowd parted respectfully, curious and amazed to see the human face to face with their ruler. Lysera stopped in front of him. "You have done something extraordinary," she said. Her voice was soft, but carried across the plaza. Most warriors rely on strength, on weapons, on power. But you relied on your mind, on your courage, and on your ability to inspire others. You have saved this city. Alex felt a flush of embarrassment. "I didn't do it alone," he said. "Everyone helped. I just noticed what could be done and suggested it. The queen and her people, they did the rest." Lysera smiled. "That is true. But it was your insight, your courage to act when others hesitated, that made it possible. You have reminded us of something very important. That intelligence, observation, and calm action can be as powerful as any weapon." Citizens began to cheer. Softly at first, then louder. They surrounded Alex with gratitude, offering nods, words, and smiles. Engineers who had implemented his plans approached him, shaking his hand. Soldiers who had doubted him now bowed respectfully. He was a hero, not because he had fought, but because he had thought, guided, and inspired. The queen turned to the crowd. "People of the capital," she said, "today we have seen that true strength does not always come from size or power. It comes from courage, creativity, and the willingness to act for the good of all, and we have seen it in a human." The citizens erupted in cheers. "A human!" they shouted. "A human! Saved us!" Alex looked around, overwhelmed but proud. He had never imagined that being observant and helping others could have such an impact. Yet here he was, standing among beings from another world who now saw humans in a new light. Lysera placed her hand gently on his shoulder. "You have earned your place among the heroes of this city," she said. "Your kind may be small and fragile compared to others, but your mind, your courage, and your heart, these are qualities that cannot be measured by size or strength. They are what change the course of history." Alex smiled quietly. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I only tried to help." "See," the queen nodded. She had learned something she would never forget. Humans, though physically weaker than most species, possessed a rare combination of intelligence, empathy, and courage that could inspire entire civilizations. They could turn the tide of battles, not with weapons, but with action and insight. Over the following days, the city repaired itself. Citizens rebuilt barricades, tended to damaged areas, and celebrated survival. Alex continued to help, quietly observing, suggesting improvements, and ensuring everyone was safe. The queen often consulted him, not as a curiosity, but as an advisor and a friend. A ceremony was held in the central plaza. Lysera publicly honored Alex for his courage and insight. She declared that humans would be recognized as allies, not fragile observers. Their unique abilities, their creativity, intelligence, and ability to inspire would be valued in the new era of peace. Alex stood before the crowd, humbled. He realized that his small actions had made a lasting difference, not through power or combat, but through thought, courage, and collaboration. He had bridged worlds, proving that even the smallest, most fragile beings could leave a mark on the universe. As the sun rose higher, lighting the city with warm gold, Lysra looked at Alex and spoke softly. The future is brighter because of you. Humans may be small, but their hearts and minds are enormous. Never forget that. Alex nodded, smiling. He had always believed that even small actions mattered. Now, he had proof. And as he looked around at the citizens, the soldiers, and the queen who had trusted him, he knew something more. Humanity had a place among the stars, not through force, but through courage, intelligence, and hope. The city had survived. The queen had won, and a human had shown that even in a universe of powerful beings, one small, clever, and courageous individual could change everything. The horizon was calm now, filled with promise. And for the first time, Alex felt the true power of humanity. Not strength, not size, but heart, mind, and courage to rise, no matter how impossible the odds.